Another torch. Oh, look at that moon. Look at that moon. That sexy moon. That sexy moon. That is a perfect screenshot. Another torch. There's a lot more lights over there. It's like you're being guided. You're being guided on where to go.
Over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Being guided. Hang on, there's another one over here. I will go that way. But I want to see what's over here first. Intrigued. What could possibly all this mean? Photos.
We shall begin to assemble our own version of the North Shore. We will scrawl in dead languages and electrical diagrams and hide them away for future theologians to muse and mumble over. We will send a letter to Esther Donnelly and demand her answer. We will mix the paint with ashes and tarmac and the glow from our infections. We will paint a moon over the Sanford Junction and blue lights falling like stars along the hard shoulder.
It's like a surgical area. Yeah. Kidney bowl. Baked beans. No, not baked beans. Pills. Syringes. One of those defibs. Defibrillators. Ugh. Defibs. Was he dying? Is that what it is? Whoever was here was dying, and he was either with someone else or he was performing surgery on himself to stop him from dying? Is that what it is? Another torch, another light. Being guided to this one spot, to this pinnacle of existence. What could this all mean? Picture of a girl, Esther Donnelly. Mathematical and chemical equations. Strange. But you're always being guided in some little way. It's a grave. I think. It's a grave, I think. Car. Damn, that meaning. It's deep. Well, that guy died. Someone died. Donnelly? Esther Donnelly, maybe?
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
Another tool, another light, sorry. Guided down. Don't think there's any need for me to go down there.
From here, I can see my Armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland. but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Strange, isn't it? These paper boats. It's almost like where we started off. And he will fall to the ground. No, fell, and he fell to the ground. Can't read anymore. Eggs. I don't know. Oh, wrong way. No, not this way. Not that way either. Where am I meant to go? Guess I go back up. Once again, always going back up. Look. It's that light again. The radio tower. Getting closer and closer every time I see it. It's like I'm going towards it. It's like the death march of a man who's dying. Strange. Curious, isn't it? Before you die, you always go here, on this island. If you're trapped, if you're stuck, you always go here, I guess. Not sure.
A sound of torn metal, teeth running over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal as I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, all my mind as a bypass.
It's another candle. Strange, isn't it? Strange.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Strange. What's this? Never to be ping, never to be pain. It is a bit creepy, isn't it? Drink?
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Always referring back to that infection. Strange, isn't it? And we always get closer. Closer to that beacon. Beacon of hope? Maybe? Maybe it doesn't represent death. Maybe it represents hope.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight. I will take flight.
Flight where? Flight where? Oh, well, that's a picture to remember. Messages. Noon. Can't read them. Too poorly written. Too hard to read.
I have dredged these waters for the bones of the hermit, for the traces of Donnelly, for any sign of Jakobsen's flock, for the empty bottle that would incriminate him. I have scoured this stretch of motorway 21 times, attempting to recreate his trajectory, the point when his heart stopped dead and all he saw was the moon over the Sanford Junction. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all, and it was not his fault. It was the converging lines that doomed him. This is not a recorded natural condition. The gulls do not fly so low over the motorway and cause him to swerve. The paint scored away from his car in lines like an infection, making directly for the heart.
It's always an infection. I'm being very much guided by, we are quite close. I feel this story is coming to an end. Some way.
I have run out of places to climb. I will abandon this body and take to the air.
Kill? Death? Is he going to commit suicide?
Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.